What up, everybody? It's your boy Russ with the Comic Cave, and I am solo today because we're going to be talking about something that Chris doesn't really care about. And I have a huge passion for it, as a lot of you already know. That's right, we're going to be talking about some more Dragon Ball. And I'm super excited for this because we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Super Hero. It is now officially out in Japan. If you are one of those people that have seen this movie already, it doesn't come out in America until August. It doesn't come out in the Americas till August. So if you're somebody that did a little search on the internet and found it and have watched it already, and you don't care about spoilers, then this video is for you. If you do care about spoilers, now is your chance to click off and don't check this out, because we're going to go through and break down, not scene by scene, but I'm going to definitely go through the entire film, talk about likes, dislikes, things that I'm neutral on, and break down some of the Easter eggs and some of the lore behind it that maybe some of you guys aren't privy to, maybe some of you guys are. So if this topic and this thing is kind of for you, then please give us a like and a subscribe and follow us on the YouTube channel. You know that we're doing those giveaways, and I'm going to get into the giveaway at the end of this episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so I'm going to kind of go through this film. So now that some of the people that are a little worried about spoilers, one more time, spoilers. This review is for the people who have already seen the film or don't care about spoilers. So if that's you, stick around with us. If not, you guys need to get out now. This is your last warning. All right, so I'm about to go through the film, and I took notes on the film, so I'm going to bounce back and forth between like likes and dislikes, and really I'm just going to kind of go through and like almost the order that I took the notes in going through the film. So let's just jump into it. First off, like right off the rip, I did enjoy the intro to this film. You know, starting off with that Red Ribbon recap and getting the background on Goku going and taking out the original Red Ribbon Army. A lot of people are really familiar with Dr. Gero, or Gero. The American dub version is Gero, but the correct pronunciation is actually Gero. And a lot of people are more familiar with him and the androids in Cell, but not everybody is necessarily familiar, even though like they did a little recap and background at that time of the original Red Ribbon Army. Not everybody's really fully familiar with that story, so I like that they showed us Goku as a kid going through, and some of the fun parts of that arc, because that was a fun arc when Goku was going through Muscle Tower. Muscle Tower is the name of that one of the Red Ribbon bases at that time, and we got this. That's the base that had the snow on the north, and Goku going through and fighting like one of the ninjas and meeting some of the other original androids like Android 8. And so on. It was just a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed seeing some of those flashbacks, definitely hitting the nostalgia feels. And I like it. To me, when we were getting commercials and previews for this film, I was a little I thought that there was going to be some type of tie to the main villain Magenta to Red, because they looked very similar. So I like that they actually did kind of, I don't like that they necessarily connected. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but the breakdown of who Red is, Commander Red, he was the leader of the Red Ribbon Army, and technically Black killed Red, and then Goku ended up killing Black shortly after that, like within a few minutes pretty much. Black turns on Red because Red was only getting the Dragon Balls to wish to be taller because he was a short man, and Black did not agree with that, so he ended up killing Red, and then he wanted world domination, and Goku ended up killing Black. So it was cool to kind of like, they didn't necessarily say all of that, but like the way that they showed it, you were able to get like a breakdown on that. So I really enjoyed that. I did not like, though, that Magenta is Red's son, and that Dr. Hito, is the grandson of Dr. Gero or Dr. Gero. Their plays on the names, like Magenta, Red, right? It makes sense. Like, we should have seen this coming a mile away, but it just seemed a little derivative to me. It seemed a little, like, just unnecessary. We could have had, just the fact that the Red Ribbon Army was back in general would have been enough to show that, okay, well, now we have this new I don't want to say villain, but a new doctor, a new scientist, mad scientist working on a new project. It didn't really need to relate to Dr. Gero. They didn't. It was just unnecessary. It was just unnecessarily fluff. That's all. However, when they were doing the breakdown and not Dr. Gero, but Magenta was getting the lowdown on what was going on with Hito in his office, and we see Dr. Gero's son, Gevo, I'm sorry, I don't know necessarily how to pronounce his name, which we saw the actual son who Android 16 is based off of, and we got to see him in normal clothes. It was just a quick picture of him. But not even just that, we saw Vomi, which is, again, don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not good with these pronunciations. That's Android 21 from the video game. So she was an android that took cells from like even Majin Buu and stuff. If you guys aren't familiar with the video games. And that was apparently Dr. Gero's wife. And so it was cool, like, you get to see a little bit of the history, the family tree there. That's probably, like, the only good thing that I thought tying Hito to it, because it gave them or tying Hito to Dr. Gero, is being able to give us, like, that little family tree and being able to see some of these Easter eggs. Those are two really good Easter eggs. I definitely enjoyed those. The superhero themes throughout the music, so, like, once the movie really started picking up after Dr. Hito got picked up by Magenta, and he creates the first two, gets him on board, and he creates the first two, Gamma 1 and 2, and Gamma just leading all through it, like the introduction of Gamma and the introduction of Dr. Hito and the introduction of Commander Magenta, how they had like the banner come up behind them, and then the superhero music. I definitely did enjoy that take. It's different from Dragon Ball. It was fun. It was lighthearted. And Dragon Ball's roots, as a lot of people know, are rooted in comedy. That's what original Dragon Ball was, not necessarily Z. So having some more of this like playful stuff, it felt good. Like, and it's a different take. And honestly, we need a little bit of a different take here and there. It gets really. That said, there's a bunch of stuff that they did within this that is not a different take. But I definitely enjoyed some of like them trying to do something different, and it was definitely like a lot of MCU reference to that, which I felt was good and bad, having a lot of these MCU references. They had wrestling moves within this, and like just the way the music played out, like the fight on the train leading into it, like a lot of this felt like it was Spider-Man fighting on the train, or felt like just a lot of it felt very MCU, and there's like a point later on that I'm going to touch on specifically as well, but like Gohan, his introduction to the fight and how he came down and it was superhero landing and he hit the ground, like there was a lot of references to like MCU, and maybe not even necessarily just like MCU, but just hero. I want to say that they stole ideas and concepts. Some they did at the very end, specifically with Gamma 2 getting dusted. Yeah, that was straight out of the MCU. But I want to say that a lot of it was inspired and not just flat out stolen. So it was fun to see. Some of it was just a little on the nose, though. That getting dusted at the end of Gamma 2 after he used up all of his energy, that was a little bit too on the nose for me. I was like, all right, come on, guys. You could have done something like a little bit different. But fast forward, rewinding all at the same time. Piccolo, I absolutely love that Piccolo was like the backbone of this film, right? Like he was the main dude. He was the one that held this film down. Like when we going into it, we knew that it was going to be a heavy Piccolo and Gohan movie. And Gohan was definitely heavy in this movie. But Piccolo almost seemed as if he was like more of the main focus. And personally, I really enjoyed that. The last time that we had Piccolo as like a central focus like that, movie-wise, has got to be like Lord Slug. And that was a movie based around the Namekian times, back around... I think it came out even before the Namek Saga, if I'm not mistaken. Like, essentially before Vegeta became, like, the add-on, and Piccolo was still Goku's adversary or rival. Vegeta wasn't in that film, and, like, that was just another Piccolo-centric, Piccolo-heavy film, but we haven't had anything like that since then. And Akira Toriyama has gone on to state that Piccolo is absolutely his favorite character, so it's good that he actually gets some shine. And then all of the references to him, so like they definitely at his house, I loved seeing his house. There was lots of references within the structure to the Namekian architecture and stuff like that, but also to Kami and Demon King, and his note on the Namekian lore of Piccolo only drinks water. So for those that don't know, Namekians only drink water. So it was really cool to see them like actually kind of not just expand but hold true to that lore of the Namekians, because Lord knows the Dragon Ball Super likes to switch up lore. So it was definitely good to see a lot of that held true for Piccolo. And I also really loved Gohan studying the bugs. So I'm going to get into something I disliked about Gohan's arc within this, but I did enjoy that he was studying bugs, and he brings up the ant, and the ant that glows gold like a Super Saiyan. It almost indicates as if Gohan's looking into like bugs and metamorphosis and evolution, so to speak, as a way to possibly tie into transformations, or like not just Saiyan transformations but transformations in general. It just seems like that was a little bit on the nose for it to not be on purpose, right? I hate it when people say that Dragon Ball isn't like deep, or that you might be thinking too much into it. No, if you've read the original series all the way from Dragon Ball through the end of Z, or the original 42 manga books, right, before you get into Super, like there are a lot of things that come into factor from when Goku was a kid, and like character development is very much a thing within this, within Dragon Ball as a whole, and there are lessons and things like that. Like it does get deep. So I do enjoy like kind of that nod that maybe Gohan's trying to study bugs as a way to like maybe further transformations and so forth. The film as a whole was slow paced, which I thought was both good and bad. It allowed for more storytelling. This isn't just like, Dragon Ball Super Brawly. Like Dragon Ball Super Brawly was very action heavy. They got into it really quick. This one had some building up into it. You had Piccolo being like a spy in the Red Ribbon Army and getting intel before he actually went in and fought. Like a lot of that, it makes sense. Like they don't need to just fight. Like Piccolo scouting out shows that he's a smarter fighter and not just a brute force and brute strength, right? So it allowed for more storytelling and allowed for more diversity within the film, which I enjoyed. That said, let me know how you guys felt on this, but I felt at times it was a little too slow and it got a little boring, I can't really say, like, it just really at the beginning, there was a couple times where I was like, all right, I get it, background research, bad guys. I definitely felt like there was just a couple points where it could have moved a little bit quicker. Trunks and Goten within the film, I definitely enjoyed that. It sucks that we didn't get to actually see them transform or fuse appropriately into Gotenks, but I thought that it was good, and I thought that them being in this and fighting up against Cell Max. So Cell Max himself, we're going to get into this a little bit more in a bit too, but I felt like Cell Max was an amalgam of multiple stories that we've kind of already gotten. One being Cell, obviously, but two being Bio Brawly, and three maybe even Wrath of the Dragon with Harudagorn, right? So he kind of felt, Cell Max kind of felt like almost an amalgam of each of those. And with Bio Brawly specifically, I felt like Trunks and Goten being in this film, because they definitely didn't need to be in this film, but the fact that they were, it almost felt like kind of a nod to Bio Brawly, with just the mindless monster created, because Bio Brawly was, a clone, and then it went out of control. So like it's similar to Cell Max. I wouldn't say that Cell Max is a clone, but still, project that went sideways, was very mindless, didn't really speak, it was just a monster, right? So it just definitely, I felt a lot of Bio Brawly nods within this. Just them being added into it also felt like a Bio Brawly nod. So then, I already kind of mentioned this, but like Gohan's intro into the fight, that superhero landing, was definitely peak to me. That was probably one of the best parts of the film as a whole, in my opinion. His first intro and him finally getting ticked off and being like, all right, I need to handle this. My daughter's in trouble. And he didn't even like try to get out of the plane. He just blew the plane up that he was flying in on and then landed down, and it was like go on sight essentially. And with that said, his fight with Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, and I think he, if I'm not mistaken, I watched this movie twice, so I should know, but I'm pretty sure like he was fighting Gamma 1 and Piccolo was fighting Gamma 2, and so it was cool to see them, you know, each kind of like trade off. And like I really enjoyed Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Like they were genuinely, they felt like, you know, they are good guys, they're meant to be heroes. That's how Dr. Hito, he trained them to be. He wanted them to be heroes. It was cool. Like I actually dug their personality. They were a little bland personalities. Like, I don't want to say bland, that's not the right word, but they weren't, I don't know, super original. Like they weren't stand outish a whole lot, but I felt like they did justice for the movie, and I felt like they added some lightheartedness to it, and you know, their poses and wanting to be hero, which is something that Akira Toriyama does a lot anyways. Like even when Gohan was Great Saiyaman, right, he would pose, and then you had the Ginyu Force and all of that. So it just lots of nods to other things, and a lot of other Akira Toriyama, not even just within Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama does that within a lot of his other stories as well, with like poses and stuff, and heroes of justice. So they felt very Akira Toriyama, and they felt very, very good and fit within this film. So they were cool. And I enjoyed along the lines of with Piccolo as well. Him getting more shine just meant that we were able to see more of his old techniques. I will say that like within Dragon Ball Z, I felt like they lost a lot of his techniques towards the end of Z, even within the Cell saga, or the Android saga, going into the Cell portion of that, where like Piccolo used to grow large, right? He did that in OG Dragon Ball, and then his limbs would go long, and like he had the ability to control his body in a unique way. And let's not forget that he is part Kami and he is part Demon King Piccolo, so like he had telekinesis and like all these other things, and a lot of these techniques are techniques that we didn't see as much going forward. Within Super, he has gotten a little bit more shine. We started seeing him like stretch out his limbs and stuff like that, but seeing him go large, seeing him use telekinesis to like bunch up a bunch of the rubble around him to throw at Gamma 2, like all of that was really cool. We've seen him like summon clothes. He did it to Gohan, training him and stuff like that, but just all of the abilities, because Piccolo has a lot of abilities, so it's really cool to see him actually be utilized again and in a proper way. That said, let's go into Piccolo's transformations, right? So I'm going to touch on Piccolo's transformations before we get into the big one, you know, Gohan's. But Piccolo's transformation, I liked, okay, let me phrase this properly. There's things I didn't like and there's things that I liked about it. I did really enjoy the second transformation itself, Orange Piccolo. I enjoy that because they related it to the Namekian Tree of Life, and that's why like it grew on his back and then it glowed and lit up, and he got that new symbol, and the symbol was like the Namekian Tree of Life. So that's really cool, and that kind of plays into, if you guys are familiar with the old Namekian lore, and this plays into the fact that they're holding true to the Namekian lore, which I really like. There were super Namekians, so the idea of why Kami was originally, back when Kami and Demon King Piccolo were one, before they split, before Piccolo Jr. ended up refusing with Kami, he was the unnamed Namekian, right? And the concept kind of behind that, there's a couple. One of them was that he was the son of somebody else, and he was sent off. I forgot the name of the other Namekian that he was the son of, and he was sent off to Earth to save him, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've read this part, but it was because Planet Namek that we see is actually, it was dying down, and then now there's a second Planet Namek, because the one was destroyed by Frieza, but the one that was destroyed by Frieza was like dying, and that's why there was less trees. Originally there was actually like a lot more trees. So I think that this nameless Namekian, the son of so-and-so, whoever it was sent to be saved from that. But you can get it in a little bit deeper than that. And you can relate to Lord Slug, the movie that I mentioned earlier. Lord Slug was a super Namekian. So there were, and within that movie, within that lore, they explained that there were Namekians that were, which again, guys, canon, not canon. I'm not getting into all of that. Yes, I understand original Dragon Ball Z movies were not canon. And we'll get into if this movie is canon or not towards the end of this discussion. But canon set aside, the lore behind it was that there were Namekians that were so powerful that they were essentially banned from Namek. They were sent away. Lord Slug was one of them. Lord Slug's film was heavily based off of the Demon King Piccolo arc within the original Dragon Ball series. He collects the Dragon Balls to wish for eternal youth, which is something that Demon King Piccolo did. I'm saying all of that to say that, like, it seemed like a reference. Him getting Orange Piccolo and the Namekian Tree of Life almost seemed like kind of a roundabout reference to, and I could be reaching on this, but it seemed like a roundabout reference to the Super Namekians. Now, that said, I did not like a couple of things about both of Piccolo's transformations. One of them is that first transformation, Yellow Piccolo, when just the lines before he gets like really big, before Orange Piccolo, that shouldn't be a thing. I was really annoyed with that. So Piccolo goes to Shenlong and wishes for his potential to be unlocked. But he specifically wishes for his potential to be unlocked. The Elder Namekian. So the way that the Elder Namekian unlocked Krillin and Gohan's potential, when he did that, their potential was just unlocked, so they just got more powerful. There was no transformation. The Elder Kai, the way that Gohan got his potential unlocked the second time with the Kais on the Grand Kai planet, that triggered a transformation. But that's not what Piccolo wished for. Piccolo wished for his potential to be unlocked in the Elder Namekian way. So he should not have gotten at least that transformation. I also don't really like that the Shenron threw in a bonus, quote unquote, It's possible, like, so Shenron was like almost startled by Piccolo, and he was calling him Lord Piccolo, right? And it's possible that could be a couple of reasons that he did that. Both Piccolo is both Kami and Demon, and the son of Demon King Piccolo, Demon Daoma Jr., essentially. So both Kami created Shenron, the original Shenron, and then the Demon King Piccolo, not Piccolo Jr., but the original Demon King Piccolo, killed Shenron. Like, he blew him up in the original Dragon Ball story arc. So Shenron showing respect to Piccolo could be on both fronts of that, of you are my creator and you are also my destroyer. So having a little bit of respect for him, and even though that Dende is now like the guardian and like the one upgrading him and the new creator, and technically, Shenron was recreated, and technically, I guess you could say Popo was probably the one that designed Shenron. At least that's what was kind of like hinted at. I think it was in the anime. I don't think that was actually in the manga. But nonetheless, Kami was the original creator. So just kind of like a sign of respect. You are my creator and my destroyer. So therefore, he showed him a little respect. Therefore, he gave him something a little bit extra within that. But I don't really like that either. That seems like a fucking ass pull. And there's a bunch of ass pulls within Super as a whole. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, yeah, there were some ass pulls, but I feel like the ass pulls are getting more frequent, and it's really starting to irritate me. I didn't like that. I do like Orange Piccolo, but I don't think that the way that they went about to achieving that was necessary or even necessarily appropriate. Another small reference I thought was funny was when Piccolo brings the Senzu and passes it over to Gohan, and Gohan drops the Senzu similar to how he dropped the Potara. It was definitely a reference to that. He drops it and it falls through a crack. I did something that's a little bit different for Dragon Ball is the team fight. When everybody gang rushed Cell Max. Cell Max, he was giant. Like I said, he was kind of like related to Haruto Gorin and stuff. So I enjoyed everybody at 17, even Krillin a little bit, Piccolo, Gohan, Gotenks, and I'm going to actually speak on Gotenks specifically here in a second. But yeah, just the team fight, because normally we're used to seeing like these one-on-one fights, but I really enjoyed the full team effort to take out Cell Max. Again, like, I like when Dragon Ball changes. I don't like it when it gets so far that it doesn't feel like Dragon Ball anymore, but I like some of the changed up references and stuff, or not references, just changing it up just enough to keep things fresh. So I really enjoyed that they actually teamed up to fight, and it wasn't just like a one-on-one thing. That said, I also really loved them using fat Gotenks as like a ball and almost like a volleyball to slam into Cellmax to cause that original first crack in Cellmax's forehead, right, which was his weakness, which I'm going to get into that in a minute. I enjoyed that because it was reminiscent to me of the Boo Boo volleyball. So Gotenks, you know, when he used almost like multiple galactic donuts to like create a ball and hold Boo in a ball, and he like had Piccolo play volleyball with him and then smashed him down in the ground. So it was just kind of funny. It was almost like that was reversed on him, even though he wasn't restrained. It felt reminiscent to that to me. So him playing volleyball and now him being the volleyball, so to speak. It was just fun. Gohan, I enjoyed this. Gohan gets a lot of nostalgia stuff. Gohan gets the Goku speech from Piccolo. So like Piccolo was saying, you have more power within you, don't hold back, like you can do this. It's the same essential speech that Gohan got from Goku back in his fight with Cell. And then Piccolo goes off and tries to hold off Cell Max while Gohan, you know, powers up. Gohan, so Gohan's transformation being similar to his Super Saiyan 2 transformation. Of course, they did that for nostalgia. I both like that and dislike that. Again, I want some originality, but it was a cool nod. We had the same type of visual with the red line clicking after Gohan thinks that Piccolo is out for the count, and he gets that red line, he gets pissed off, and then he goes into his new Gohan, Ultimate Gohan Unleashed form. And the new form, I dislike that this is an ass pull, and this is the same reason. So if you guys have watched my review and breakdown of the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga, one of my biggest gripes within that arc, so that's the Moro arc within Dragon Ball Super, one of my biggest gripes within that is Goku using his version of the Susanoo. So like Goku has the spirit come out of him and he's large and he's fighting through the spirit. I hate that move for the same reason that I hate what's going on with this new form of Gohan's. There's no build up to these things. When Goku did that, there was no reference of where he might have learned that move. We can throw in some headcanon and say that maybe he got it from Yard Rat. That's like headcanon. That's really pushing it, right? Every single move and every single transformation that we have had, there has been a hint or a build up to it within Z. Not within Super, but within Z there definitely has. Super Saiyan, there was build up to that. Vegeta in the entire Namek saga was talking about being the Super Saiyan. Like we knew that was coming. Every single move that Goku has ever had, the Kamehameha, the Genki Dama, Kaioken, literally everything that he has done, we know where he learned it from. He either learned it from Master Roshi, he learned stuff from Kami, he learned stuff from King Kai, right? Like everything that Goku knows, he has learned within the original Dragon Ball run. We know where there was either build up to it or we know where it came from. Even Super Saiyan 2 with Gohan, that we kept hearing that Gohan had this potential within him, and that Gohan, since the beginning, we were even now, like, he's still looked at as the one with the most potential, right? But like that was always his character, so we knew even like going up to Super Saiyan 2, like something was coming with that, something was building. The only time in Z that there was kind of an ass pull was with Super Saiyan 3. That one was definitely an ass pull because it didn't, like, it was, we never hinted to it. It was thrown in there randomly. But that's like legit the only time that, correct me if I'm wrong, throw it down in the comments if you guys can think of another ass pull. But that's the only ass pull from Z that I can think of, and that was only one out of the entire series that I can think of. So now within Super, though, you had that with Goku, there's been other transformations, and then now with this, like, we didn't have any type of indication that there was going to be another form, like, and Piccolo's form in itself, like, yet it's like they're doing this stuff just because they know that fans want it, but like, there's a better way to do it. I'm not saying don't do it. I am getting transformation fatigued. I'm tired of transformations within Dragon Ball. I understand that it sells for them, sells merchandise and whatnot, but I'm an old fan, man. I've been reading it for a very long time. I'm personally getting tired of all of that. However, that said, I don't think that they don't need to not do it. People have been asking for it, but there's a better way to approach it. There's better ways to build it up. It didn't need to be an asshole. That said, what I did like about Gohan's New Transformation, though, is it's very much a reference to the original design for Super Saiyan. The original design for Super Saiyan was white hair with red eyes. That was how Akira Toriyama originally drew it, and it wasn't until, I don't know, not Funimation, it wasn't until Toei got their hands on it, and they made it like yellow hair, gold hair, and the eyes can either be blue or green depending on the depiction of it and like who's drawing it or who it is, right? But the original was white hair with red eyes. So I can throw in some headcanon here, and this is very much headcanon, but I like this concept that having your potential entirely tapped into and unlocked and then turning Super Saiyan gives Gohan essentially a true form of Super Saiyan. I feel like this transformation is supposed to kind of be that, like a true, even though it looks just like fucking Super Saiyan 2, just with longer hair and it's silver or whatever, but which I wonder how they're really gonna, I don't know, it's a little odd that they still went with the white silver when we have Ultra Instinct now, but that set aside, I do feel like it's an homage to the original Super Saiyan transformation. That's why his eyes are red, and they might never explain this. They might never actually give us details on this, but I'm going to go ahead and say that it was because, or not because, like, it just headcanon to it. It's the true form of Super Saiyan, not like the legendary Super Saiyan. Brawly has his legendary Super Saiyan forms. I feel like this could be a true form Super Saiyan, so that's kind of cool. And I also definitely loved Gohan using the Masanko Sappo. We all know that, you know, Piccolo has trained Gohan for so long, so it was really good to see him pay homage to Piccolo, not just in like what he wears, but he has kind of like, so Gohan's one of his moves is the Masanko, so it's cool that he actually does the Masanko Sappo. And the Masanko I've always assumed was like derivative or derived from one of Piccolo's techniques. That's why it was called that. So it's cool, definitely, to see him use the full technique, and it looked great, man. It definitely looked great. The second form Cell blowing up at the end, basically. So Cell was in his second form, and I like that Cell was in his second form. I'm sorry, I keep saying Cell. Cell Max. I understand that it's a different character. I'm going to get into why I dislike this anyways. That's dislikes coming. I'm giving you guys a lot of likes. I'm starting with the good, and I'm going to get into the bad. But yeah, so second form Cell, Akira Toriyama has gone on record saying that second form Cell is his favorite form, is his favorite version of Cell. So that's probably why they ended up having this. I mean, yes, because he didn't become perfect Cell. He was released too soon. But that's probably why they did that, is because Akira Toriyama, that was his favorite form of it. And at the very end, seeing him blow up and like get fat before he blew up was very much like another shout out to the Cell arc, and Goku teleporting Cell away onto King Kai's planet and blowing up the way he got fat and blew up. So lastly, getting into like some Goku and Vegeta stuff. I loved that Goku and Vegeta were not in this film. That was one of the things that I was actually hoping for leading into this film. A lot of people were talking about, oh, Goku and Vegeta, they're going to come in and fight Cell at the end, Cell Max at the end, or whatever. Back when we were speculating that it was Cell, just they were going to somehow come in and fight the big bad at the end. Honestly, if they would have done that, I would have hated it. I would have absolutely hated this film. There's definitely some things that I don't like about this film, but that would have made me hate this film. I am personally, another thing that I dislike on this film is I'm tired. This is now the third film in a row where they're using a rehashed villain. We went from Frieza to Brawly to now this. I am tired of repeat. Yes, we're getting some fresh villains and fresh stuff going on within the manga. I'm tired of the films using these. I don't need this nostalgia bait. I want something new. I want something fresh. Keep it new. Keep it fresh. That said, all of these things are things that I enjoyed about the film, but if they would have had Goku and Vegeta come in and save the fucking day at the end, I probably wouldn't rate this film good at all. I would have hated it. So I really dig that they kept them back. I really dig that they gave Piccolo and Gohan some shine and allowed for a different type of story to be told, because Goku and Vegeta are in it, as I mentioned earlier. Like, it would just be go, go, go. It would just be an instant going to fight. I really liked the step back and doing, the Piccolo doing the intel and being a little more sneaky, and then like taking their time on that front. I really enjoyed that with this, and I don't feel like they would have been able to do that with Goku and Vegeta. And that said, last thing that I really did enjoy was Goku and Vegeta's fight at the end of the film, and probably cries about it. That choreograph for that fight was superb. A lot of times, like, people tend to forget that Dragon Ball was originally, a martial arts manga. It was still very comedic, but there was a lot more of an emphasis on the choreography and like the actual fighting style within the earlier parts of Dragon Ball, and we've kind of gotten away from that with all of the power-ups and the energy blasts and stuff. So it always feels really good to me when we get some really good choreography within our animation at any point. Alright, so things that I dislike. First off, Dr. Hito doesn't really make sense. He wants to be a hero, but then he kills a bunch of the prisoners at the beginning, and then takes money for research to create the ultimate android, even though he knows that it's wrong, and that he knows that the red ribbon is, like, I wouldn't say that he knows necessarily they're corrupt. He was definitely tricked, but he knew that it was wrong to do, and he says it at the end of the film, and he even says it leading into it. I'm not doing this for your ambitions. I'm doing it just because I want to do this. He's a bad guy. I don't care if he wants to be a good guy. Dr. Hito is a bad guy, and he shouldn't have been forgiven at the end of the film and just go to work for Bulma. I get why they did it. I'm sure we'll see them pop up, him and Gamma 1. I'm sure we'll see him pop up here and there, but I did not like that they make it seem like, I don't know, it's okay, or I get it, villains become heroes, but like, yeah, no, his character just doesn't really make sense. They downplayed Jiren in this film, and I don't really like that, and I know that's going to be a point of discussion for a lot of people, and I feel like that's a larger discussion to be had as a whole. But saying Vegeta, I mean, I like that they're again finding ways for like character development, and moving this plot forward and stuff. But and like Vegeta saying like he needs to strengthen his mind and not just his body and not just his fighting techniques, right? He needs to fight smarter, not just harder. And that being like a point of development for him, and hopefully Goku in the future, and maybe not Goku, and just have that be another way of how the two characters are different and the way that they develop differently. Because Goku has never been the best at sharpening his mind. Even in the original Dragon Ball series, Master Roshi, he did that. He had like school time for Krillin and Goku as well, and like he tried to teach them math and like other things, and Krillin obviously did better than Goku on that front. Goku's never been the brightest. It's never been about strengthening his mind. He's a savant when it comes to fighting, but not necessarily in other aspects. So yeah, I like that saying that Jiren was just fighting smarter did that for Vegeta, but let's be real, we watched that fight with Jiren and them. Jiren was obviously not just fighting smarter, he was leagues above them. So I just don't like that they're downplaying it, and I feel like they're only downplaying it because they're like, well, what do we do next? Like, they keep backing themselves into a corner. Alright, so there's nostalgia bait as a whole. I mentioned a bunch of things that was nostalgia in this that I did like, so clearly I do like nostalgia, but at the same time, like, that's not what I need. And that definitely still knocks this film down as a whole for me. I want more original, as I just mentioned not too long ago. I want more originality. I don't need nostalgia. I don't, like, if they do another film, I don't want to see Cooler. I don't want to see, I don't know, any other villain. I don't, even Pilaf. He can be in it, but like, I don't want to see them as like the main point or villain, being the main villain or anything like that. I'm tired of repeat villains. I'm tired. Even though, like, Cell Max, like, oh my god, I really did not want Cell to be, I get it, it's different, it's Cell Max, it's not Cell, I'm tired of people telling me that. It's the same thing. And not only is it the same thing, it's Cell mixed with Byro Brawly, maybe mixed with Hirudegarn as well. Like, there's nothing new here. There's nothing intriguing about this. Even the weakness to Cell Max being hit him in the forehead, that's the same weakness as Moro. That's the same weakness that we just got within the manga. And I will say on that front, it is common for Dragon Ball movies to mirror the arcs that are going on within normally the anime, but in this case manga, since the manga's been going on. That's normal. At the time that they wrote this film, or were writing this film, I'm pretty sure that the Galactic Patrol arc was still going, so Moro's arc was still going, so it makes sense that they pull references from that, which I'm going to get into, if this is, that plays kind of like into if this is canon or not, and specifically that line that Gohan has at the end of the movie. I'm going to get into that, 'cause, like, all of this plays into that. But this movie was developed, and it was supposed to come out last year, so before, like, at the start of Granola's arc and stuff, so we weren't even really supposed to know much about Granola at all at that point, so therefore we were just coming off the heels of Moro, so therefore, like, it just, the way that Dragon Ball movies are, like, Lord Slug, that was based off of the Demon King Piccolo, the Cooler films based off of Frieza, was it Android 19 or whatever, 20, I can't remember which ones they were, but the Android films, like, those were based off the androids, like, and specifically even Cell, because he absorbed the chips and then he became Super Android, right? So, like, it's normal for the films to be based off of stuff that's going on within the anime and the manga. But that said, or not just manga, but in the anime, so them taking Moro's weakness and putting it in this film, I'm not really surprised, but just everything about Cell Max was unoriginal. Every single detail about him. So therefore, yeah, Cell Max, some of that nostalgia stuff, or the repeat villains, I was not about any of that. Another thing that I really, really just did not like was the repeat lessons within this film. So repeat lessons being like Pan. A lot of people, again, this could be like argued to a degree, because you could say that the anime isn't canon and the manga is, or whatever, but we already knew that Pan knew how to fly, and I've seen people say, like, oh, well, maybe she just didn't know how to control it, and she didn't really know how to fly, and this is her learning. No, this is a repeat lesson for Pan. We've already seen it. I'm tired of that. And the biggest repeat lesson, I am so fucking sick of hearing about Gohan being like, oh, you need to stop, like, do your book stuff, but you need to train too. Don't forget to train. You need to train. That's been a lesson with Gohan so many times, and he solved that in the TOP. That was the whole thing. He started sparring with Piccolo again, he got himself back in shape, and he came out of the TOP, the Tournament of Power, saying, yeah, you're right, I need to train more, I need to be able to fight. And now we're doing it again? I'm so tired of these repeat lessons. Goku's had repeat lessons. Vegeta's had repeat lessons. Going through the same things over and over and over again. Dragon Ball Super doesn't know, like, clearly there's a bigger discussion to be had here about Akira Toriyama and, like, how much he really cares at this point, because he's been, let's be real, he's been done with it for a while, but he is still overseeing it, so you could say that he still does care, but, like, does he really care? He honestly, that was something else I was going to get into at the very end of this, was he didn't even remember that Dragon Ball Super was called Dragon Ball Super. That's why it's called Dragon Ball Super Superhero. He forgot that there was already a super in there. So, like, he's clearly not really paying attention to the series as a whole. He's just giving story ideas and letting Toyotaro fill, and yes, he has more involvement on some arcs than others. That's not what I'm getting into. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying overall, as a whole, throughout this series, he is a lot more hands-off than he used to be. You cannot deny that. He does not care as much as he used to. You cannot deny that. So I'm just tired of these repeat lessons. I'm tired of the same thing being beaten over the head. With all that said, those are the things that I definitely disliked. There was only one thing that I was kind of about, and that's the animation over the entire film. It did come out better than I was expecting for sure, but this is not my preferred form of animation. I could see them maybe doing some more movies like this in the future, but I don't... I like Shintani's style better. I like the Dragon Ball Super Brawly version way better. That's my favorite style of animation as a whole so far. But I did like this animation probably more than like the TOP, the Tournament of Power animation within the anime. So I don't know. It's in between those. The animation was just kind of to me as a whole. There's a few last thoughts I kind of want to touch on. I already mentioned like the name of the film. Akira Toriyama forgot that it was called Dragon Ball Super, and that's why it's called Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Even he thought that was a little ridiculous once he realized the comedy throughout this film. So a lot of people were upset with like Bulma wasting the wish on her butt and her eyelashes. Guys, like that's normal Dragon Ball comedy. Like, look at how Master Roshi used to be, carrying porno around and stuff. Like, it's just the first wish ever made in Dragon Ball was Oolong wishing for a pair of panties. Like, it's just the jokes that Akira Toriyama likes. It's the style of Dragon Ball that is a part of it. So personally, I really liked the comedy. I really liked when like Piccolo, when he was first fighting Gamma 2, and he like he gets hit and like the words pop up in letters and he's like, what's with the letters? Like, so like just noting like that breaking the third wall and stuff like that, that's a lot of fun to me. So I definitely really enjoyed like the comedy, and I think that was like done really well. Let's talk about, is this canon or not? And then I'm going to talk about Gohan's line. So like I mentioned before, this film was written and it was supposed to come out last year. So that goes into Gohan's line. This film, I'm pretty sure I can't find, now that I was doing like research on this as I was putting my notes together for this video, I can't find the interview, but I know that I read an interview at one point in time that was saying that this took place after the Granola arc. But the reason why you don't get Ultra Instinct or Ultra Ego is because when they were originally writing this, like, that didn't have anything to do with that. They weren't at that point within the Granola arc as a whole. Like, they might have had drafts, they might have had a concept for that at the time, but it wasn't like a thing. So that's why we don't get references to that, because this wasn't written at that time. And then that brings, so is it canon? Like, honestly, guys, I'm not entirely sure. It seems like all of Dragon Ball Super stuff has been canon, and it seems like it is, but I can't really give like a full, I could see this also not being canon. I'm just not entirely sure if it is canon or not. So all that ties into Gohan's words at the end, right? So Gohan at the end was saying that he doesn't know if Goku and Vegeta would have been able to help. That's because, again, this film was written before Ultra Ego and Ultra Instinct as what they are now. Like, they might have been concepts, but they weren't done yet. And Toei Animation is a whole separate department from the manga and how the manga gets published. Like, there's different teams behind each of these, and this is why there's, I don't want to say inconsistencies, but differences between the manga and the anime, because there's different teams behind it. They'll have different direction. So even if Akira Toriyama has like an outline of what he wants to do, the way that they get to that end goal is different on each side, because it's different people writing it. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. A lot of people are going to be mad, there's no way Gohan, because Ultra Ego. Look, this was written before that was even really a thing. Well, before Ultra Ego was a thing at the very least, because this was supposed to come out last year, and Ultra Ego just happened, right? So again, take Gohan saying that as a grain of salt. Japan really likes to hype things up. This is a way to make Gohan relevant again, and it's a way to hype him up, hype up this movie, and get people talking. And that's all that it's really meant to do. Whether Goku and Vegeta, I mean, even placing this within the timeline, if the interview that I read is actually accurate, and that this is supposed to take place after the Granola arc, like, it's all just kind of up in the air. And come on, like, Dragon Ball's not there, it's not serious like that. Like, there are a lot of like deep cuts and deep things within Dragon Ball as a whole, and like influences, as I mentioned before, Journey to the West, and like other spiritual things, and like even like how techniques are formed, and like where they actually, like, the root of the idea comes from. Like, a lot of that does get deep, but at the same time, at the end of the day, like, this is just meant to be a fun thing, and they're just trying to hype people up and give Gohan some shine. So my opinion on that, take it with a grain of salt. Is Gohan stronger? I don't right now. Like, no, I doubt it. Power scaling wise, I highly doubt. There was nothing to indicate or suggest that Gohan is actually stronger than Goku and Vegeta as it stands now. But it also doesn't matter. Just being real, guys. Like, it doesn't matter. So take that as you will. With that said, this movie as overall, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Everybody's hyping it up. Everybody's saying that they love it. Man, I give it like a 5 or a 6. I had way more good things on my like column of this because I literally made a like and dislike chart for this, and I had way more likes on this film than I did dislikes, but my dislikes are pretty big dislikes. Like, I'm just really tired of the repetitiveness. I'm really tired. Repeat stories, repeat lessons, repeat villains, like a lot of that is just draining to me, and I'm just so over it. But that said, the movie was still enjoyable. I still found myself watching all the way through. And a lot of people say that, like, I don't know, like a rating of a 5 or 6 is not worth it or whatever. No, like a rating of 5 or 6 means it's still good. It's just not like fantastic. It's not great. I watch the movie. I'm going to watch it again when it comes out in America and we get the actual dub for it. Right now, read the subtitles. And that's cool and all. And I'll definitely watch it again. So I guess I'd give it like a 6. It was enjoyable. It's just, it's not as good as what I think a lot of other people are saying right now. And I don't know if it's just because people are biting into the nostalgia or if it's just so many new fans that are into it that only got into this after Super or during Super that just don't know some of the other lore for it to bother them. But I'm being real with you guys, it bothered me. That said, we have a couple of giveaways. Definitely always check out the Instagram giveaway. We're only like 14 or so follows away from giving away some X-Men comics, so definitely go check that out. It's on our page. And we're also just made a big announcement that we will be back at Comicpalooza this year, hosting 2 panels, one on the main stage and one on the podcast stage. The main stage is with the guy Brian Volquist, who is behind The Toys Who Made Us and The Movies Who Made Us on Netflix, and then he has another show called A Toy Shop Near You on Amazon, and we're interviewing him and our pal Juan and his buddies from Super Happy Incredible Toys about Super Happy Incredible Toys episode on that show on Toys Who Made Us. And then there might also be a very special, very renowned guest on that. I can't say for sure yet. And then our other podcast is joining us. If you guys have been keeping up with the show, with the podcast, we've interviewed lesser known comics about one of their recent comics that have come out, in Literati Press about one of their comics that have come out. These are 2 publishing companies, and we're bringing a couple of guys on from each of them to talk about how to publish a comic. So if you have a comic idea, and if you're in the Houston area or not, come check out these panels at Comicpalooza. And if you can't come check it out, we will be recording them, and very educational. Definitely check out those episodes when we drop them. And then last but not least, we are doing a giveaway of My Hero Academia. We have a All Might and All for One mint condition package. Get us to 650 subscribers on YouTube. Like and comment on any of our videos. It is completely random. We pick a random video and then a random comment as the winner once we get to 650. So the more videos that you comment on the more videos that you like, you have to like, comment, and follow us in order to win. And then we will be doing another giveaway. And once we give away the comics on Instagram, we'll be doing another giveaway. So we love to give stuff away, and we'll be doing a giveaway at Comicpalooza, 2 of them actually. So stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram to keep up with a lot of that good news and stuff. And with that said, that's what's up.